Hey everybody, it's Michelle here. I did have a request for a tutorial on my Baby Folio, and I am going to recreate this, but I'm going to use Prima. Alright, pulled out a few pages. Prima Marketing Heaven Sent Part 2. I'm going to use that paper pad, and I've already pulled some sheets which we will go through together. I don't exactly have everything in my head of which ones we're going to use yet, but we'll just figure that out as we go along. I have some white. I know the other one, it was in craft. But this one, since we're doing pinks with the baby girls, I'm going to use white. So I have some 8.5 by 11 sheets. You'll need one 12 by 12 sheets. I'm also probably going to use some from the ephemera pack that goes with the paper. And then I'm going to use some Prima craft tags, the 2.5 by 4.25. Of course, you can make your own tags. Actually, I probably should make my own tags since we're doing white. We'll hold on to these. What I like to do, just to make it easy, is take one, and I'm going to use the white paper, and then we'll just trace around so we can get that shape. Okay, we're going to need some cardstock, and I've got a whole 12 by 12 sheet and a little scrap. And I have these envelopes. I used, of course, a craft envelope when I made this. So I haven't decided if I'm going to use the envelope or just use my envelope punch board and we'll make one together. I think that's how I might do that. But I have those handy. Oh, and they're 5" by 6.5 inches. And then for our spine, this I use, it's a really thin chipboard that I got for my Cricut machine. It's heavier than a cardstock, but it's still thicker than this chipboard that we all use on our front and back cover, and that's what I used on this spine here. So I'm going to set this aside, and I am going to do a fabric cover. You can use some of the cardstock from the paper, but I'm going to use this little real cute pink and white polka dot fabric for my outside. Okay, we are going to start with our 12 by 12 sheet of paper and get your, also, I did went ahead and cut out on my little boy album. I did a bunch of die cutting, so I did some more of that, and plus some little extra flowers and stuff. I don't know. I got a little fairy in here, some butterflies, and I'm just going to go through and figure out as I go what exactly I want to use. Alright, so for our first cut, we are going to go with 12 by 8.5. So we're going to put that on 8.5 and cut. I'm going to set aside my extras, and then take your scoreboard, and we're going to be scoring on the 12-inch side. Let's see if y'all can see that. Whoop, there we go. I'll get it down eventually. On your 12-inch side, we are going to score at 5.75 and 6 1/4. So 5.75 and 6 1/4. we're going to go ahead and fold on those 2 lines. And that's going to give you a U shaped like this. So now we have both of our sides for our folio. And I'm just going to keep mine here so I can try and remember exactly how I went. Okay, I'm going to set this aside for just a moment, and I'm going to grab a 8.5 by 11 white sheet of paper, and we're going to make our 2 flaps. The one for the top and then the one for the bottom. So let's take our cutting board, and we want to cut our flaps at 4.75 by 5.75. And we're actually going to need 2 of these. I'm going to set my scrap aside. I guess I've already done better by just cutting a 12 by 12 sheet. Alright, so for my second one, 4.75 by 5.75. Okay, and we're going to score both of these. Alright. We are going to score we're going to have our paper on the 4.75, and we're going to score at 4 1/4, and then 1/16 over. So that was 4 1/4, and then 1/16 from that. And what it does is it's going to give us a little U. I don't know if y'all can see that. And it's going to allow for some extra width from putting photos behind it. So it just gives a little extra width at that top part. Alright, so we have one. Now we're going to take our other one. Did I mess something up? No, that's right. So on the 5.75, yeah, we're going to score it. That is wrong. On the 4, I'm sorry, I'm going to confuse the hell out of everybody. On the 4.75, we're going to score it at 4 1/4, and then at 1/16 over. Alright. So I'm just going to fold those. And there again, we've got that U. Set this aside, and let's get our base page. And you can use glue or score tape, whichever one's easiest for you. I'm going to take my scissors, and from the first score line back, I'm just going to cut it at a little taper on both sides. So if y'all could see that there, and I'm going to do that to both of them. Alright, so go ahead and grab your glue. And we're going to put our glue all the way up to that first score line. and we're going to put that all the way up to our top page. It'll fit between this end and that score. I'm going to try and do this without getting my head in y'all's way. Oh, there we go. There we are. Oh, this side's not down just yet. Alright, and as you can see, it makes that little U-turn there. Alright, now we're going to take glue and put it on our bottom tab, and it's going to go like this with it opening down. I guess I probably should have chose a different background. White on white probably isn't very easy to see. So just line the bottom of your page up with that first score. There we go. And then now we have both of our flaps to start off with. So the next thing we're going to make is our smaller flaps that go on top of here, and you can use some of the scrap pages that you have from when we previously cut. So what we need is a 4 by 4.5. I think this one's too small. These two little pieces should work. Yes. So I'm going to cut it down 4 inch by 4.5 inch. And we need 2 of those. So again, 4 by 4.5 inch. Alright, now let's get our scoreboard. Measure this other one to make sure. Okay. Alright, so we want to put it on the 4.5 inch side. Let me move that down so y'all can see. I'm on the 4.5 inch side, and I am going to score it at 3.5. That seems right. Hold on, bear with me. Okay, I'm sorry. I wrote down where to score, but I didn't write down which side to score it on. I'll have to think of that next time. Okay, 4 inches, and we want to score at 3.5. So I'm on 4 inches, and I want to score at 3.5. Okay. So I'm going to take and taper my corners on both of these. Alright, now get our sheet, and I'm going to start with the top one. what we want to do is I want to put it on this bottom flap and just kind of center it, just eyeball it, and what we want is to glue it down so it'll fold down. So take your glue, okay. I'm just going to put the score line all the way to the edge of this flap here, and I'm just going to eyeball it center left to right. There we are. Okay, now we're going to repeat it on the bottom flap, and we want to take it and make sure that your flap is going up like this. Let me take this, maybe put something behind this so you can see a little bit better. So I'm going to put glue on my little flap. I'm going to put this one down so I can make sure that I get them centered correctly. There we go. Hopefully that was a little bit easier to see with the background. And then that one flips up. Now we have both of our pieces together. Alright, the next thing that we are going to do is, open this up. We have a belly band that runs across the center. So we're going to grab, actually, I have these scraps, so I'm going to grab that, and we're going to, one of those, and we're going to cut it down. Let's see, put the top on my glue, that little tip dries out really quick. Alright, so I want it to be 3 1/4 by 6.75, so 6 3/4. And then I'm going to take our scoreboard, well, I totally missed that cut. I can't, it's got this fold in here, and where the, you know how it goes, it messes me up sometimes. Let me try that again. Heck, let me just mark it with a pencil. We want it at 6.75. There we go. Alright, so on your 6 3/4 side, we need to score a 1/2 inch on each side. I just want to make sure that that's right. So we're going to score 1/2 inch, and then flip it around and score at 1/2 inch. And keep our fingers crossed that it actually fits. Let's see if my calculations are correct. Why, yes, they are. So I'm going to cut and taper the edges on this. And then take our glue. I'll tell you what, let's find the center of this and make a little mark. So our page is 8 1/2. I'm just going to take and make a tiny, really light mark at 4 1/4. right next to that score line, and that way I'm just going to kind of eyeball it as I put it down. So we're going to glue up both sides. Alright, and I can see my little mark there. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, making sure it's straight. And then we're going to press those down. Alright, now we have our flaps and our belly band. Okay, let's set that aside for a minute. And we're going to get our envelope. Let's see how this one looks. And again, that's 5" by 6½. If you're making your own. And mine is more of an ivory than it is a white. So I'm going to go ahead and make my own. And we will do that together, but I can tell you right now, me and the envelope punch board, we're not very good friends. So just be aware, I may mess this up. I'm just being honest with you. Okay, so on it, too much stuff around here. So we want 5 by 6½, so we need a paper size 9¼ by 9¼ Alright, and of course I can't use an 8½ sheet paper to do 9¼ 9¼ This paper is actually a little bit darker. Also, okay, so we got selected our card size. We're going to put the trimmer 6½, so we want to score 4 inches. Let me get my little tool here out. I'm going to put it at 4 inches. On our score line. Punch. Now we're going to take that score guide and put it on this little dude right here. Score. Punch. Turn and repeat. Time. Alright. Oops. Now I'm going to turn this around and put it in the other end to curve those tips. Alright, I think I actually got it that time. I'm so excited. we go. We have an envelope. Okay, on mine, previous one, I just put cardstock on the inside of it and then the front cover. So since, let's go ahead and put some cardstock in there before we glue it together. I think it'll be easier that way. So what we're going to do is, this is going to be up like this underneath our paper, and it's going to fold down. So I want to put some cardstock on this inside part. So let me pick and see. I think I'm going to do, oh, these are all so cute. Alright. I'm going to use this one here. So I'm going to cut this tab off real quick. And just take a measurement. The inside is 6.75. And I'm just going to go in until 2 inches. Alright, so I'm going to cut it 2 inches. Set our scraps aside. And then we're going to go at where my favorite place in the ruler is. Hopefully 6.75. Let's see if it fits. That'll work just fine. I'm going to go ahead and start gluing this down together. Alright, so start with your flaps. Oops. And I'm back. Apparently my memory card got full, but I didn't get very far. I did glue this down, but I'm not loving this little tip thingy-do that's going on here. So I'm going to take my, cat hair, I'm going to take my cut board and I'm going to put it right there and grab my ruler. And then I'm just going to cut it straight across. At least I'm hoping it's going to be straight. There we are. Just get rid of that little tab right there. Okay. Now we can take and glue down our little piece. Oh wow, I like that one too. No, I'm going to use the pink. There we are. And you're more than welcome to add your cardstock around here. I honestly didn't want to mess with it. I did plan on, as the previous one, to add this little guy up here. So I am going to go ahead and do that real quick. this take a little while. This is a pretty intricate little die cut. Alright. We're just going to set him right there. Okay, for this flap, I'm going to go ahead and you can see, where my pencil? Well, I just made a mark. I'll have to erase that. Okay, so you see where it comes down here? I'm just going to take my trimmer and I'm going to cut it right where that one curves, and then right when that one curves, so we really don't need all that excess part. There we are. Now we just have one little flap there. Let me see if I can erase this little boo-boo I made. Okay, so take and open up your page. Open up your two flaps, and then I'm going to glue on our tab. My glue is still wanting to get stopped up on me. I need to take it apart and clean it. Okay, now I'm just going to eyeball it to center it, and I'm going to put the tab underneath the page. And then before I set it completely, I'm going to go ahead and close these two flaps and just trying to center it up and down. Get it where I think it looks the best. And press that down real good. And this paper still didn't match, but I didn't have any 12 by 12 that could have cut down to make it. But we're going to cover it with some pretty cardstock, so it won't show that much, except for maybe when you get down. So, but hopefully all your white paper matches. I just have different brands of paper. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is find some cardstock, and before we do that though, I'm going to go ahead and put some magnets. Now depending on, I've got some fairly strong magnets, so depending on how strong your magnet is and how thick your pattern cardstock is, we're going to put it, I don't want just this little flap to go down. I also want it to connect to the bottom part so everything stays down. So I'm going to put one magnet at the bottom of my top flap. Here, let me do this. Maybe y'all could see it better what I'm doing. So here's my top flap. And I'm going to put one magnet there, and then I'm going to go ahead and cover it up with some score tape. Okay, we're going to go ahead and close that, and my next magnet I'm putting on my belly band. So I'm going to go ahead and put a piece. Okay, my magnets, whoop, right there. I'm going to close that, open the flap, and find where that previous magnet is. If you just put it down, it'll locate itself. I'm going to put some glue down, and I'm going to fold that over, and you should land on your belly band, because I know this is all white. So if you can see, I'm on my belly band right there. So we're going to pick up that magnet and put it right down on top of where I made the spot with the glue. Put some tape on that, and then that will hold both of those pieces down. And we're going to do the same thing with the bottom. So here's my bottom flap. I'm going to open it, grab a magnet, and on the bottom I'm putting it just above where that score line is. Let's see if I can get up close. If y'all can see that. I don't know if you, well, it'll be just above where this outer edge of this page is, but just a little bit above that score line. We're going to put some glue, put some tape on that. I've got too much glue on there. It's going to end up sticking to my bottom page. I'm going to wipe some of that off real quick. Okay, so close that. Now, here's my belly band again here. So what we want to do is take another magnet and find where it adheres to the one that you just put down. Put some glue on top of it. Close it where it rests on that belly band, and it'll make a little glue mark there for you. So then just pick up the magnet and put it down on that glue mark you made. And then we'll put some now both of them will stay down for us. This is pretty thick, so it'll, once we finish putting everything on the top, it'll stay down by itself. So I'm going to go ahead and pick out all of my cardstock that I want to use, and then I will be back with you guys in just a minute. Alright, so I have all my cardstock cut and ready to go. So we're going to start with our envelope, our first flap, and I just cut it with about a 1/16 inch reveal around each side, and we're going to make a little pocket, and we're going to put a little tag inside there. So just grab some of your scrap paper. This one's 3.75, and I'm not going to worry about how high that is right now. So take your scoreboard, okay, right now it's at, let me do this so you can see. Right now it's on the 3.75, and I'm just going to do 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to flip it 1/4 inch, and then flip it again, score 1/4 inch. So you have 1/4 inch around on 3 sides of it. Alright, so let's go ahead and make those folds. This is probably going to be a little bit hard to see. Let me try and get as close to the camera as I can. I want to cut this bottom corner here. So whenever, see, if you try to fold it over, you've got to bunched up paper right there. So I'm just going to take my scissors and cut at it at a diagonal to where you end up with a cut like this. Let's see if y'all can see that. And then I'm going to do that on this side also. So there you go. Can you see that? Then I'm going to take my cardstock that I'm using, which I cut it out from one of the little sheets that has all the 3x5, 3x4 cutouts, and I chose this one. So I'm going to just make a little mark. I don't know, there's probably an easier way to do it, but this is the easiest way for me. I'm just going to make a little mark at the top to give a little bit of a reveal, and then I'm going to cut that down. Alright, let's put this on that side. Okay, on mine I did some foam mounting tape. You can get the tape in a roll, or the little foam, the little circles that you can get. I just use this because it's really quick. And I just cut out, that way my top part, it has a little bit of dimension to it. And I just put it around the four corners. Well, I picked the wrong pair of scissors. Let's go ahead and add one in the middle. Okay, peel that back off, and I'm just going to add some glue just in case. I'm sure this tape is sticky enough, but we'll make sure it's definitely not going anywhere. And I'm just going to center it on my paper in between all those score lines. There we go. So let's get our folio back in place. And I'm going to go ahead and glue down this piece. I know I use just kind of like the plain dots, but the reason why I chose that, because when you put this against that background, it makes your little picture pop. If I would have chosen this side, which you can, I just felt like with all the background, the busyness of it, that we wouldn't be able to see our little deer as well. But it's your album, and you make it however you want to. There we go. Now I'm going to put glue on all three of my flaps, and then fold those under and set it inside there. I'm kind of centering it left to right, but I'm going to use my little die cut up here, so I wanted to leave some room for that. And I want to push that glue down, but I don't want to push the top too much because I don't want to smush that foam tape that we just put on it so it would pop up a little bit. Alright, then I'm going to put my die cut there. There we go. And then on the bottom, on my previous one, I used the little baby rattler die cut. So I am going to do that again. Just put that right there in the corner. Alright, so let's open our flap. Let me get rid of some of this mess around here. And like I said, I have everything cut. So on my first flap up, I chose the little yellow polka dots. So we're going to glue that in place. I'm having trouble seeing white on white. Make sure I get a good spacing around all four sides. I do this a lot when I'm making a photo album. If I'm doing like black on black, I'll just take an opposite color and just stick it underneath it, and that way you could see all your edges all the way around. This makes it a little bit easier. Alright, now for our inside flap, I'm going to use my opposite color here again. I'm going to take the tape off from our magnet, and then I chose to add that paper. So we're going to put quite a bit of glue around this magnet so it sticks down. Alright, and then the same thing for the bottom flap. Underneath it so we can see it. Get real good down around that magnet. Make sure it stays. On the paper that I chose for this, I remember I have two cut out here. I remember if I chose it. Actually, this one. The deer, actually. You know what? I like that better. It's always okay to change your mind. I'm going to put that right there. And again, just like before, I chose kind of a basic, not too busy on this flap, or else it would take away from what's behind it. At least that's, see, if you have like this and this, there's a lot going on between the two. You can't really differentiate. You can't tell the difference between them. Alright, let's do the top one. But it's your album. That's my personal opinion. You're more than welcome to put whatever paper you choose. Alright. Now we need to do the inside tabs and our belly band. So I'm going to start with the top, and I'm going to use this little guy right here. This little baby paper is so cute. Okay, and then also on the bottom flap. Make sure I don't put them down upside down. There we go. Now we're going to take the tape off of the magnets on our belly band. And I chose this little blocks for mine. And as I said before, on all of these, I just cut my design paper to where I have at least a 1/16 of an inch reveal around all four sides from there we go. So now we have our first side completely done. And I am going to go ahead and stop the video for now. I think we've done enough for today, and tomorrow we're going to do the second side and then the front and back cover. So I will be talking to y'all soon. Bye bye.